Hey guys, this is a Todoroki listener. I hope you enjoy. This was requested, but I have some warnings for this one. This contains an abusive relationship, self harm, an attempt of suicide, and much more. So I hope you're aware. And if you're not comfortable with this, you have been warned. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you're going with something like this, please talk to someone because it's important. And yeah, enjoy. Tears streaming down your face. How did this happen? How did I let myself get in this? You thought. You were a smart, beautiful, independent, and confident person. But this relationship brought all that down. Haru, a guy you met in middle school, had asked you out on your last day of middle school. You both were applying to UA to become heroes, and you gladly accepted. Truth to be told, you had a crush on Haru your whole middle school life, so this was a dream come true for you. But your reality right now wasn't that great. You had gotten into a hero course, while Haru got into general studies. Haru's quirk wasn't suitable to become a hero or for the entrance exams to enter UA. His quirk basically lets him control another person's body, but the person will be inflicted pain while all this process is happening. So, in the entrance exam, he couldn't control anybody since he couldn't touch anybody. And at the end of the entrance exams, you had passed in actually third place, and you knew another kid, a very explosive one, had gotten first. Your quirk was basically not that special, not that bad either. You could create and manipulate plans at your will. So the entrance exams were pretty easy since you just created some plans and destroyed the huge robots. At the end of the entrance exams, when you went to see your boyfriend, you greeted, "Hey Haru, how did it go?" He was sitting in a corner. He looked mad, and you wondered what happened. You leaned closer to him and gave him a kiss on the cheek and said, "Haru, are you okay?" He quickly looked up at you, with rage in his eyes, and slapped you. You were confused. This was the first time he ever hit you. And you never thought he would hit you. He was always such a gentleman with you. But he wasn't a nice guy, as you thought. He screamed, "Yuan, shut up! I'm not in the mood to deal with you right now," and walked away. And that's how it all started. All the abuse, all the tears, all the hurt, all that started since that day. Right now, you're at Haru's dorm. You were going there to break up with him. You have tried to break up with him 1,000 times, but you can't. He won't let you. He manipulates you every time to think that you're useless, that you will never find another person, and asks you every time who will want someone as useless as you. You deep inside know that this isn't true. You know you will find a better person than him, but his constant words and all that he says just brings you down and you can't escape. It's suffocating. You cannot tell anyone because he said if you tell anyone, he's gonna do much worse to you. You're scared, and to think that you will be a future pro hero. This is not what you imagined your high school life to be like. Right now, laying on the floor, with some fresh injuries inflicted by Haru, he's standing there sitting on his bed watching you. You try to stand up but you fall down to the ground thanks to all the injuries. Haru just walks up to you and touches you and said, "You're trying to break up with me again? Don't try that, Yuan. You're so stupid. Oh my god, you're so useless. Why in the first place I asked you to come out with me? Now I'm stuck with you." You had a little bit of courage and said, "Well, if you think I'm so useless, why you just let me go and break up with me? I'm trying to break up with you, but you don't let me." He slapped you once again, making you shut up. You wanted to speak, scream, anything, but you couldn't. You were just silent, looking at the floor. Some blood started to fall out from other injuries, and now a fresh injury in your cheek. He says, "Yuan, if you continue this, I will use my quirk to make you hurt yourself. You don't want that, sweetheart. So just stand up, go to the bathroom, clean up, and go back to the 1A dorms and shut up. He then went to lay to his bed and took out his phone. He started playing a video game, you think, and you stood up, walking to the door into the bathroom of his dorm. You clean off your wounds and put some bandages and cover up with a hoodie. You said, "Goodbye." And Haru looks at you for a moment and says, "You know I love you, right? I just need to do this. Don't take a mind of it." You look at him in disbelief and say, "You don't love me. You love the idea of having a girlfriend. You love the idea of being superior to someone. And this isn't what I expected. If anyone who raised me or anyone that was my friend back in middle school or back in my past life saw me, they'll say I'm not the half of a person I was. And it's all because of you." Then you left. You knew if you stayed there, he's just gonna beat you up worse, and started walking to the 1A dorms. As you entered, you were greeted by Mina and Uraka. They said, "Hey Joanne, you're back. How was visiting Haru?" They knew you had a boyfriend, but they didn't know if all the abuse was happening. They thought you were in a perfect relationship, as Haru always pretended in school. You said, "Hey, it was normal. We just hung out." You tried to go to your room, but they stopped you and said, "Any juicy details?" "Oh, you're wearing his hoodie." You were disgusted you wearing his hoodie, actually, but it was the best you got to cover the injuries. You repeated, "No, it was just normal. I will go back to my room now. I'm a little tired." You started walking up the stairs, while everybody in the common room looked at you. Midoriya whispered to Todoroki, saying, "Hey, didn't you notice Juan looked a little bit sad? Haru and her got into a fight or something?" Todoroki shook his head and said, "Midoriya, I never think Haru is good for Yuan. Every time she goes see him or school, Yuan is always, sad." Midoriya looked at Todoroki in confusion and asked, "What do you mean?" Todoroki responded, "You never notice? Every time he puts his hand on her cheek or hugs her, she looks scared, terrified. I'm not sure that the relationship's good for her." Then Mina barged in, saying, "Well, her and you are perfect together. Well, that's what it seems. They were so lovey-dovey. I don't know what you mean, Todoroki." Todoroki looked back at the cheerful girl, saying, "Mina, I've seen Yuan. Whenever she's alone with Haru, she looks scared, like something's wrong. Have any of you noticed?" They all shook their heads, and then Ida said, "Well, Jun is a confident person. I don't think Haru will treat her badly, because if that, she will already left him." Todoroki shook his head and said, "I don't think so, guys. Jun may be confident, smart, and sunshine with us, but we don't know what happens in her head. We don't know what she's going through." All of them shook their heads and said, "Well, she should tell us if anything's happening, but I don't think anything's wrong." "I'll ask her tomorrow," said Uraraka. Todoroki said, "Forget it, Uraraka. I'll ask her myself. I'm not sure this is good for her." Todoroki started walking to the stairs, going to your room. All the people in the common room thought, yes, Todoroki was a more observant person than the rest, but they didn't believe Haru will do that to you. They met Haru through you, obviously, and he was friendly with them. All the people in Class 1A thought he was a good guy, when he really wasn't. They thought he was this great person that didn't make it to the hero course, and just was a helpful and a good boyfriend. Well, that was all a lie, because Haru wasn't nice and wasn't good with you, but they didn't know that. Back at your dorm, you were crying, laying on the floor, looking up at your wounds. You had already taken Haru's hoodie off you and just looked at you and remember the good times, the times you used to hang out with your middle school friends, happy, cheerful. You remember the things that made you happy and some hobbies you have to left because Haru didn't like them. You felt so stupid. How could you let yourself go so down that a boy controls your life? You never wanted this. You were raised to be powerful, confident, smart, and independent. This wasn't what you imagined, and you were disappointed in yourself. You look at your wounds and cried even more. You thought, I'm so stupid. How I'm letting a guy do this to me? I don't love Haru. I don't love him. I want this to stop. I want him to leave me alone. But how? Then some plants of your little garden you had in your room started growing and started wrapping around your neck, pressing harder and harder. You felt starting to get sleepy and unconscious, but someone began knocking on your door. But you didn't listen, you didn't care. You continued to choke yourself with the plant and started to feel suffocated. Your breathing was stopping, but suddenly someone burst into the door and started burning the plant you had around your neck. You saw Todoroki. He was one of your classmates. You never had a relationship with him, just a hi every morning and a good night every night, and that was it. He said, Yuan, what are you doing? You shook your hand and said, Sorry, Todoroki, I was practicing with my plants and it went out of hand. I couldn't control them and they just started doing that. I'm sorry. You knew this was a lie. You intended to do that, but you couldn't tell him that. He sighed and said, Please don't do that again. That's too dangerous. Then he sat you down on your bed and sat next to you, but on the floor, and asked, Yuan, I just came to see if you were alright. You look a little sad when you came back to the dorms. You shook your hand and said, I'm fine, Todoroki. Thanks for the concern. I just went to visit Haru, and that was it. Todoroki looked at your wrist and your legs were full of bandages and asked, Yuan, why are you full of bandages? Did you get hurt on training or something? Did Haru did this to you? You shook your hand and said, No, it was training. You remember I fought against Bakugo the other day, right? Well, some of his explosions burned a little my skin. So don't think too much about it. Todoroki nods and says, If you say so, Yuan. You were feeling guilty for lying to him, but what would you do? Tell him all that your boyfriend has done? That would be crazy, and Haru will hurt you more. Even though Todoroki is a good person and has good intentions, you were just afraid of what would happen. After a little conversation, Todoroki stood up to leave, and you were left alone in your dorm once. You started crying and thought, why am I doing this to myself? After a few minutes, you were still laying on your bed, and you fell asleep. You slept better tonight than you have slept in the last couple of weeks. You thought it was because of your little conversation with Todoroki maybe? It distracted your mind a little. The next morning, you were at your desk at QA. You were gathered with some girls talking and gossiping. Uraraka said, Guys, how do they ask a boy out? Mina said, well, what's he like? Uraraka started blushing and said, Is no one from the class, I promise that. Then Momo said, We never said it was someone from the class, Uraraka. They started teasing her, and then Uraraka asked, and said, looking at you, Hey Joanne, you're dating Haru, and you're the only one of us that has a boyfriend. So how did things happen with you both? You shook your head at the happy memory that at this moment was disgusting for you. You said, Well, the last day of middle school, Haru asked me out. I had liked him my whole middle school life, and he just asked me out, and we both applied to UA since we wanted to become heroes, but unfortunately, he entered general studies, and I entered a hero course. All the girls seemed a little bit shocked that you told the story with a sad tone and not much interest. Then Jiro asked, Hey Joanne, why do you tell the story with such non-happiness? You seem like you don't like the story. Or do you don't like her anymore? You shook your head, trying to hide the truth and saying, No, it's not that. It's that since it's been so long since then, I really don't put too much interest in that. I think my most recent memory with him is we went to the movies and that's it. You were lying the whole time, but you didn't care. You didn't want to tell them the truth. They all nod and then continue talking with Uraraka's crush. In a table not so far, Todoroki was listening to the whole conversation and thought that it was weird that for a girl with a boyfriend for so long, acting this way didn't seem to convince him you were in a happy relationship. In secret, Todoroki had always had a crush on you. From afar, since the first day he saw you. You guys were the first one to talk in class 1A. By accident, the first day, you have bumped into him and fell on the floor. He had picked you up and said sorry, and you said it didn't matter. Since that day, he had fallen for you incredibly. He never experienced those feelings for anyone else, so he was a little bit shocked. No one knew about his little crush on you because it would look bad that he had a crush and a girl that was taken. But his heart hurt every time he saw you with Haru, every time you kissed him, every time he hugged you. But at the same time, it was suspicious to him. You always seemed scared. Every moment, you seemed like you were terrified. So it really confused him. But you already said you were right, but he didn't believe it. It had already been a week since then. You had gone into another fight with Haru, and you had fresh wounds. You went to recovery girl saying that they were wounds from training, but you tried not to draw too much attention to yourself since you didn't want anyone to find out. Today was a Monday morning. You were alone at school. You had gone a little bit early since you didn't want to encounter your boyfriend walking to school. You were already sitting at your desk. No one wasn't there. Not even Ida was there. Then the door opened, revealing your boyfriend, Haru. You were so surprised to see him. I said, oh, hey Haru. How are you? What are you doing here? I thought you went to school a little bit later. He walked up to you and grabbed you by the neck and pushed you against the wall. He said, Yuan, do you believe I'm stupid? Do you believe I'm an idiot or something? You shook your hand saying, no, what's wrong? He then started using his quirk on you to make you walk and sit down on a desk. You did as you were told, but the process hurt the whole time. He said, Yuan, do you seriously believe I'm stupid? Stop hanging around with so much boys in your class. You shook your hand and said, what? I must hang out with my friends, and they're all girls, I promise. He shook his head and said, who was the guy you were walking to school yesterday? You remember that you and Deku had walked in school the other day because you both had to go see Recovery Girl. You said, that was just Deku, we were working together because we had to see Recovery Girl. He then slapped you and said, I don't believe that. Do you think I'm stupid, Yuan? Are you trying to shit on me, Yuan? You know I could do much worse than this, and I'm making it pretty easy. He pulled on your hair and brought your face closer to him and said, you understand, you're my possession, I own you. Then a moment of rage came into you and slapped him. You said, I don't belong to nobody. He then grabbed your neck and pushed you against the desk and said, repeat that, Yuan, repeat that to see what happens. Then the door opened, revealing a surprise Todoroki. You wonder how much of that Todoroki heard. Then Todoroki proceeded to drop his blazer on the floor with his back and walked quickly towards Haru. Your boyfriend tried to defend himself, saying, hey man, nothing's happening here, just leave us a minute and we'll be out in a second, I promise. But Todoroki didn't even listen. He punched Haru in the face, and Haru fell to the floor. Then Todoroki went down to Haru's level and started punching him in the face multiple times. A little of ice started forming in his hand, and he said, Todoroki, please calm down. And then Todoroki looked at you with a frustrated expression and said, Juan, don't tell me to calm down. He was hurting you. I heard all of it. I heard all he said. You shook your head and said, please, Todoroki, you will get in trouble. He's not worth it. He said, I don't care, Juan. You're too important. You shouldn't let this piece of shit treat you like that. Got it? He continued to punch Haru until he was knocked out. Then, you got Todoroki off the floor and said, Todoroki, please listen to me. Please. He's not worth it, even though he's already passed out. You giggled a little bit, but tears were streaming down your face. Todoroki looked down at you, at the girl he had a huge crush on, the girl he thought was the most beautiful in the world, and put his hand on your cheek and wiped away the tears and said, "Please, Joanne, don't cry about this asshole. He doesn't deserve you. You are amazing. You are the most beautiful girl in this world. Please don't do that." You leaned into Todoroki's chest and started crying harder and harder. He said, "Joanne, the tears will start to come in any moment. Let's go back to my dorm." You guys started heading back to the 1A dorms. Some students were looking at you, but didn't question it since you were crying. When you guys get to Todoroki's dorm, he gave you a hoodie to you to change. You went into the bathroom and changed into Todoroki's hoodie. You came out and saw that Todoroki had a faint blush on his cheeks, but you just giggled and ignored it. You sit back on Todoroki's bed, leaning close to him, and he says, "Joanne, how long has this been happening? Why did you let him do that to you? You're amazing, you know." You take a deep breath and say between tears, "Todoroki, it's been going on since the entrance exams." He was a little bit shocked and said to you to continue. You explained your whole relationship by saying, "Well, as you know, Haru and I started dating back in middle school, in my last day actually. He was such a gentleman, and I thought he was a good guy, you know? But then, in the entrance exams, when he didn't pass, he was so mad. And I went to check on him, and he said that I left him alone and slapped me. That was the first day. I was an idiot. I should have left him right there, but I didn't. And the abuse just continued, and I couldn't do anything. He was just so manipulative and toxic with me. He told me I will never find anyone better, and he told me that no one would want me, and hurt me a lot. One time he even used his quirk on me to make me hurt myself. The day you found me in my room, it wasn't what it looked like. It wasn't not. He stopped you by giving you a hug. He said, "Yuan, I know you don't need to tell me if it's too hard, but you have already told me a lot, and I believe you're amazing, and you will find someone wonderful. You're a brave, courageous, amazing person. You shouldn't let this guy treat you like this, you know?" You nodded and said, "Thank you, Todoroki." He shook his head and said, "Call me Shadow. We are friends, Yuan. You should call me by my first name." You smiled up at him and said, "Thank you." You wipe away your tears, and Todoroki said, "Well, what do you want to do now? We can skip school the whole day. I don't care." You gave him a smile, but you were still a little bit sad, and said, "Hey, can we watch that movie? It's called Your Name. It's an anime movie I really enjoy watching." He smiled and said, "Of course, I have seen it a couple of times. It's really good. I like it." You both started watching it while eating popcorn. It was a nice afternoon, a relaxed afternoon you hadn't had in a long time, and you felt so safe, so warm, something that was new to you. Then the end of the day came, and all the students were back in the common room. They asked, "Juan, do you know Haru was passed out in our class today? What happened?" You sighed and looked up at Todoroki, and Todoroki said, "I beat him up." All the students shouted at the same time, "What?" Then Todoroki explained everything that Haru did to you, and why he beat him up. Obviously, he had your permission to do that. All the students were left in shock. And Bakugo said, "I'm gonna blow that damn there today." Then Zero said, "Wait for me, I'm gonna tape him to the roof." "Hey, don't do it without me. I want to shoot him with electricity." Kirishima said, "Even though it's not manly, I can beat him up again, even though Todoroki already gave him a beating." Mira said, "I will melt him. Don't try me." Uraraka continued saying, "I can float him all the way to space when you guys are done with him, so let's go." They were going to head out the door when you said, "Guys, stop. It's alright. I think with what Todoroki did to him is already enough." But Midoriya intervened, saying, "Yuen, he hurt you so badly. You don't deserve that. You're amazing." You gave him a smile and said, "Guys, thank you. I'm okay now. Don't worry." Todoroki continued saying, "I will report him to the office tomorrow, and he will be surely expelled." You all agreed and head back to your dorms to sleep.
It had already been 6 months since the whole incident with your ex-boyfriend, and you felt much healthier, much happier, and more free. You had your freedom again. You felt happy. And during these past months, you had a friendship with Todoroki, and secretly you started to like him a little bit. Well, not a little bit, a lot. You thought he was so great, but you were a little bit afraid to get into another relationship. But Todoroki had proven to you that he wasn't like that. So that's why today you were standing up in the rooftop of the UA dorms, looking at Todoroki. He had a bouquet of flowers, and he was looking at you, blushing a little bit. He said, "Yuan, hello, thank you for coming." You nodded and said, "What do you need, Todoroki?" You just quickly walked up to him, and you were right in front of him. He said, "Well, Yuan, you know we have been friends for a short time, but I just wanted to get this off my chest. I like you a lot. No, I love you. I have been in love with you since the first time I saw you." You were in shock, actually. You didn't expect him to tell you all that. So you just kissed him in response and said, "I love you too, Todoroki." He then gave you the flowers and kissed your cheek again and said, "Yuan, I will never do anything to hurt you. You're the most amazing thing that ever happened to me, and I cannot live without you." You kissed him again and said, "Well, we'll have a long time together, so thank you, Todoroki." He shook his head and said, "No, Yuan, thank you. You're amazing."